What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the H Panel, the show where we bring on guests from all different backgrounds to talk mental health. I'm your host, Harry Potvin, and for the season 2 finale today, I am joined by London, UK artist Alessia. Alessia is both a documentary filmmaker and a fluid artist, which we get into later in the episode, and we have a really great discussion about what fluid art is, her plans for the future, living through a pandemic, and how that affects her creative process, gender stereotypes, about emotions, and a whole bunch of other good stuff. I can't wait for you guys to listen. I'd interviewed her before, but my computer crashed and I lost all of that uh, footage, of course. So this is kind of a re-interview with her, um, telling her story and sharing her experiences. Here in Ontario, it is snowing really hard. I miss summer already. I am exhausted from this daylight savings crap, whatever this is. But you know what? We're going to push through, and I can't wait for you guys to hear it. So, for everyone listening, please like, comment, subscribe, share it with your friends, share it with your family. Give it 5 stars if you're listening on podcasts. I appreciate all the support. And for all of you that have been listening through these 2 seasons, I can't thank you enough. We have a lot more good stuff coming. I promise you that. Anyways, now to the episode. Hope you guys enjoy. See you next time.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, good. Hi.
How are you?
I'm good. You?
I'm good. Sorry we have to redo this.
No worries.
I don't know what happened there. Anyway, yeah, I tried to, my computer just shut down and I tried to find it and it was nowhere, so.
Don't worry, it's fine.
I appreciate it.
Don't worry.
How's your weekend been?
Nothing really.
Nothing? Yeah.
Yeah, pretty boring. It was like, we can't do anything.
Right.
So, yeah, we just went on a walk. Then I started taking some vitamins and I felt pretty bad today.
Oh, really?
I don't know. It's weird. Literally, all of a sudden, I just fell asleep. Suddenly. So I was like, what have I taken?
Yeah, strange.
Yeah, because it's vitamins that are meant to do the other thing. So it's like vitamin D, iron, and B12.
Mm-hmm.
And they're meant to give you the boost, and instead
You just passed out. It was too much of a boost for you.
Yeah, I was like, oh, okay, whatever. But yeah.
Before we get too started here, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? Kind of where you grew up, what made you choose art as a passion, stuff like that.
Yes, so I was born in Genoa, which is in Italy. And so my dad is from there as well. However, my mom is Colombian, so I'm half Italian and half Colombian. And so yeah, basically I didn't really grow up in Genoa though, because my dad, he worked for a company where basically we had to travel to different power plant stations and nuclear power plant stations as well. So we lived in different countries, or even within in Italy as well, different cities, such as, the ones that I remember the most is Tunisia, Egypt. I remember Denmark quite well as well, Emirates as well. That was a complete different experience because we were actually in the desert and and we were living there was this sort of prefabricated houses. It was the early 2000.
Mm-hmm.
So it was completely different from how it looks now, and it was just literally in the middle of nowhere.
Wow.
So yeah, I remember that. We lived in Ecuador as well, in Colombia, and then just in Italy a little bit. Everywhere just keep on changing. And then we moved to another place in Italy where we stayed for a few years in Verona, and from there I moved to London, where I am now. Been here for a few years as well. Yeah, so as we were traveling so much, I was most of the times I was homeschooled, and my mom, she is an artist and she also is a texture engineer.
Mm-hmm.
So basically she she would teach me, I mean, a little bit of everything, but especially arts. So we would like draw together. She would tell me everything about every possible artist, every city we went to. We would only go to like galleries or like big museum institutions, or hang around with artists as well. Um, and then when my mom, she got married again with my stepdad, he used to work, he used to have like a small label, like music label.
Mm.
And then he opened up a production company, and he's director and producer. And so he was always like surrounded by artists again. It's always really been like that for me. And so I started getting a lot into like documentary filmmaking, which is sort of like what I do the most, I guess, right now. But at the same time, I was doing also, like drawing. But then I did not like drawing anymore because I just didn't like it. I didn't feel, I didn't feel free
Right.
drawing because I had to follow, obviously,
Mm.
like you're drawing,
Yeah.
it has to look in a certain way. Um, and yeah, I don't know, I just didn't feel free. So I started experimenting with abstract art. And then in Italy, I studied art as well. So, I started really getting a lot into it. And at first, I was like, it was always very related to emotions. So it was always like, how do I feel? How do other people feel? And I've always been very aware of how I feel, but also how everyone around me feels. And I was like, um, it would bring me down a lot, because if I would go in a room where other people felt in a certain way, I would like sort of feed off that.
Mm-hmm.
So I started drawing. I started not drawing. I sort of painting all of that. How a situation felt, how I felt towards the situation, and then there was a moment where I actually started. This was I was actually like must have been like 10, 12, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I decided that basically I would not write a diary. Instead, I would have a diary that was a color diary, let's say.
Right.
So each color had an emotion, and each color meant something. But for me, I didn't like go into, I was a child. So it's not that I went to look color theory or color psychology, nothing like that. It was just more of what I felt those colors represented. And I had this sort of diary, and I think, I sort of took that diary, let's say, and started experimenting with it now. So I don't know if I'm making, I don't know if you understand, if I'm making sense with what I'm
No,
saying.
yeah.
So this whole thing about the colors and the emotions is always been there for me,
Mm-hmm.
in a certain way. And it's just like the past year and a half that I've actually started publishing it, let's say, and actually sort of getting more into it. But it's always been there. And so in London, I studied journalism, but then I didn't like it anymore because I like the visuals. So I went to study film and TV. And while I was there, again, there was the whole thing about emotions, moods, how certain colors impact your emotions. And I was like, okay, you know what? This is such a recurrent thing in my life. I am actually going to be working with that from now on.
Mm-hmm.
And so I did. Now I'm here.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. So you mentioned that each of the places that you've lived have inspired you in your work, and you've been to a ton of places, like you said, from all different continents. So which places that you've lived have either inspired your work the most or have left the biggest imprint on you, and why?
Well, I think it's London, to be honest. I mean, right now it is London because it is the place where I was completely free to actually be myself fully without having anyone telling me like you are this or you are that. It was like I am starting over and I am deciding who I want to be, where I want to go. Um, and then it was the fact that London, it was I was not just with my mom,
Hmm.
I was in London and there were so many people from so many different places. And every day it is, I mean, not now because there's lockdown, but before, it is like a conversation with always different. It's never, ever the same.
Hmm.
And I need that. I mean, I really need that in my life, like to change and sort of meet new people, hear their stories, how they're feeling, how am I feeling, and then the colors in London as well. Like I know people say that it's very grey, and it is. The weather is awful,
Mm.
but um, I mean, but the sunsets that there are here are incredible. The clouds, like I remember when the first time I saw the clouds in here, I was like, I know what Turner was painting about now. I know it. I could just feel it, and
Mm.
I remember the exact moment. I was at uni, and it was like a very tall building, and I was just like overwhelmed with all this beauty, and then beneath, just houses and like construction sites and this sort of two complete different things coexisting, and it was amazing. And then as soon as you leave London, it's like all green as well, and you have a little bit of everything.
Hmm.
And then I love London. And then
Not biased.
I really really love London. And yes, like you go out at night and you see all these flashing lights, all these different colors. And I know it has nothing to do with nature, obviously, okay, but I think that's another part of me that needs nature. So that is when it comes when I think about Colombia. So if I'm trying to paint something that is vivid and is like sort of active, um or if yeah more towards that, or vibrant, I am inspired by London. But when it comes to actually healing and sort of like relaxing and soothing, I go back to Colombia. And
Mm.
it's just because it's incredibly wild, and the nature as well.
Hmm.
And we are from the Caribbean coast, so the sea is spectacular, and the sunsets as well there. It was like, wow, just very very overwhelming. And then in general, when it comes, instead, the inspiration from all the places together is always the people, is all the people that I have met, and the people that I had a conversation with, people that I have just like seen or passed by. And they just stay within you,
Mm.
and they inspire you to be more compassionate, but also like very open-minded. And then that reflects in the art as well, without when you're trying to be non-judgmental towards what you're doing, really. So,
Right. Yeah. Everyone you meet leaves an impression on you, whether you know it or not. It's pretty
yeah,
interesting that way.
yeah, I love it. I mean, it can hurt you sometimes,
Right.
obviously,
Yeah.
but at the same time, you can learn from that hurt. So I think it's good.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely. So I'm gonna ask you about documentary filmmaking in a second, but before I get into that, what exactly is fluid art, and what inspired you to get into that lane?
So it was a mistake at first. So I was, yeah, I was painting and I dropped the paint. It was actually ink and acrylics. So I was using both, and then I just dropped it, and I loved it.
Mm.
I really like the sort of the patterns that it created, and the fact that it was absolutely random, and again non-judgmental, and it was just there. So I thought I created something new. I did not. When I googled, I found out
You're like,
there was
oh.
a whole exactly. I found out there was a whole community of it. And it was like, it was very interesting to see like what people were doing and all the different techniques that you can use. Having said that, I always try to sort of stay away from it.
Mhm.
And that is because I just wanted to find my own style within the fluid art. I
Mm.
know that like fluid art is still sort of it is a precise sort of technique. However, to me, I just wanted it to experiment without actually seeing what other people are doing, without watching tutorials or anything like that. That's just my personal choice. And having said that, I really like the aesthetic of it, and I like the patterns that they create. However, it is not for that, because I don't aim really at doing like sort of things that are decorative. To me, it was more the concept of what fluidity meant to me. And as I was literally, while I was, every time that I was experimented with it at the beginning, and I could see just the fluids just going on the canvas, I was like, I could just relate to it.
Hmm.
Like if you say that something is fluid, it means that it's not stable. It is something that changes and transforms as well. Is not fixed at all. But the thing that happens is when it is on the canvas, then it becomes stable. It becomes fixed. It is there, and you can't escape it. And I was like, I can really relate to this. This is life.
Right.
Like life is fluid, and we are fluid, and this is how I want to be. And instead of trying to always fight so hard to label myself with something, instead of always asking people to define me and anything like that, it was more like, this is fluid. I am fluid. And this is what I'm going to be doing from now on. And then again, as I was observing it and I was seeing these sort of waves, I could see these waves sort of being relatable to my emotions as well, and the instability of these emotions. And so, it was the whole concept. And I said, okay, this is what I want to do. And then if people don't understand that there is a concept behind, it's not my problem. I don't care.
Hmm.
Um, I know why I'm doing it. And those people who look at it, um, because I do write about it. So if people, want to read about it, they're more than welcome to do so. Um, but yeah.
Nice. Yeah, that's a great point and kind of transitions really well into my next question. Um, because I know myself and a lot of people struggle with this idea that life has to go a certain way. And like for me anyway, I mentally, whether I admit it or not, like to make a plan, and I like to stick to that plan, and it has to go perfect. And if something falls out of that plan, I feel like the world's ending. I'm like, oh no, like my world's done. I'm 22. I'm like, oh, life's over. So you stated before and just now that emotions are fluid and they're constantly moving. They pass. I can be free. I can be whoever I want to be. And I feel like a lot of us, as I mentioned, kind of live almost in constant stress because we have this idea that, you need to work in an office 9 to 5, go to school, get a degree, build a family young, get tons of money quick. And that kind of determines success and determines, whether you're a failure or you're a winner in life. So what would you say to people, especially younger generations, who feel this unfair amount of pressure that they need to follow these norms as opposed to what they truly want to follow?
um, Go on the internet, go
Mm,
online. I know sometimes it's like a super nasty place.
yeah.
Like we can't deny that
Mm,
it is. However, there are also like amazing opportunities online, to be honest. And most of talking about myself, most of those opportunities I did find them online, because yeah, I like to go out, till a certain point. so
right. Yeah. Yeah. There's a
so
limit.
so it's like most of these opportunities, I have found them online. And so I think that is shifting, a
Hmm.
little bit. Now there is still the concept of you have to be rich, otherwise it means you're not successful. And I really do not like, I really don't agree with that,
Yeah.
to be honest. But it's about, I think that people really need to find, and I am talking to myself as well right now, they really need to find the stability within themselves before anything else. Because if there's something that I have learned by, traveling so much, and meeting people from literally any any background, from people who literally have absolutely nothing to people that have everything, is that if there is something within you that is causing instabilities, I mean, it doesn't really matter what you have.
Mm.
And like, it obviously money helps. It always does. You can do therapy. So I can't say, oh yeah, money doesn't help. It does help.
Right.
However, if, if you do find that stability within you, then you are able to achieve so much more. So yeah, I think it is about really that. Trying, like trying to find that stability within yourself, and then go out and then go outside, because um how do I say this? Like, let's say my family, I was lucky enough that they had, we had the means to do things, but I wasn't happy.
Right.
I was so 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 unhappy,
Mm.
and that people from outside would look at me and it's like, why is she like that? She's
Right.
got everything, and it's like, I'm unhappy. I'm not
Mm.
stable.
Mm-hmm.
My mood shifts in ways that is like, whoa, okay, this is, I would much rather, like have a little house, and just, and just be stable, rather than be able to have all these means that I had with my family and just like be miserable,
Right.
really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a great quote, and I forget who said it. But they were saying like once you kind of strip away yourself of like your possessions and the things around you, and you're content with like what's inside, that's when you find true happiness. And I think that's why I really like meditation, and I really like yoga, and I like doing all this stuff, because it lets you take away everything around you and strips you of like what you have, the money you have, the possessions, everything, and you're allowed to just focus on what's inside. And feel
Yes.
like that's really important for people, especially because with social media, you're scrolling through, you're like, oh, that guy's got a nice car, that guy has awesome abs. It's me, I'm that guy. I'm like, oh, that guy's really jacked. He's really hot. Why don't I look like him? Why don't I have his money? Why am I not successful? But none of that matters if you're not happy with who's inside. So I think that's a great point. Like it's really important to really look at yourself and go, am I happy? And not on a possession scale.
Exactly. And then, if you are unhappy, then what works for me is like, just make a list of achievable things, and then start working from that. How can I achieve that?
Mm.
How can I go from this point to this other point? Because like, I do a lot of critical thinking, and we can't deny that, there is a lot of poverty, and that obviously brings a lot of mental health problems. So we can't deny that.
Mm-hmm.
It is there. So, and you sometimes, like, if you don't have the means, you can go to therapy or anything like that. So I feel I am privileged, because I was able to then do all the therapy that I needed, and every time I needed therapy, I was never denied that.
Right.
So I'm, I am so grateful, and I completely see the privilege that I have. And I do also understand that a lot of people do not have that privilege. So unfortunately, I can't really talk about that experience. You know what I mean? I can talk
Right.
about my own experience and the things that I have done. And yes, coming back to the point that you were saying, if there is a suggestion, it is literally about just starting, just going for it. And whoever says to you that is like, and this is an advice, me and my dad, we don't talk. And despite this, I once called him and I was feeling very, very bad. And I don't know why I called him. We don't talk.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what he said to me. He said, in my life, everyone told me that I could not achieve anything, that I could have done nothing. And he said, you know what? I did it. And because I was not afraid. And it's the fear, the thing that blocks you. It is the fear that pins you down and doesn't allow you to go out. So now, Alessia, you go out and you show everyone whatever you want to do, not what they expect from you.
Mm.
And then, only then, you can start thinking about, what is success or whatever. But then when you actually arrive at that point, you realize that that is success, because you did whatever you wanted to do with the means that you had, and you were actually thinking about achievable things. And I was like, oh, okay.
That's deep. Yeah.
Good, thank you. Yeah.
So it's been reported that art actually has a more valuable role in mental health than people realize. And the Medical School of Harvard reported in 2017 that creative activities such as art can relieve stress, help communication, help stop cognitive decline. So that being said, what are some ways that art has impacted your personal mental health for the better?
Um. Okay. I think it is. I really think it's about everything that I do always goes back to promote, uh, a sort of healthy mental health. I don't know if it's correct
Yeah, that
English.
counts. We'll say that works.
Sorry.
It sounds right, I think.
Because it's like everything I say, I have to translate it in my head first.
Right, yeah.
Sometimes it's like, wait a minute, it doesn't make sense in English. But yeah, so I think everything that I do always goes back to try to promote well-being, and ways um, to really cope with life. That is the main reason why I do it. I still have them, existential questions that are sometimes are very terrifying and they're very scary.
Mm.
And the bottom line always goes to the fact that we are all gonna die no matter what.
Right.
Now, and sometimes it's like woohoo, and other times it's like, oh my god.
Yeah,
no.
yeah.
Oh, and I always felt that, honestly, since I'm a child. I always felt that way to me. And what happens is when I paint, all of a sudden it's gone. There is me, there is the paint, there's the canvas or whatever I'm using, and there is nothing else. It's just a cathartic moment where everything comes together, and I just feel part of something bigger than myself. And I feel that once the paint then stays on the canvas, and once I start writing as well about whatever I am writing about, I can actually make sense of it.
Mm.
Everything starts making sense. I know why I was feeling that way. I know sometimes I don't even know what I'm feeling. I can't even name that emotion. It's just so strong that it doesn't have a name. But once I start choosing the colors, and this is when I use intuition. So once I start using the colors and once I start writing, I'm like, okay, now I know what I was feeling, and I just feel free. There is this weight that lifts off me, and it's like, thank God. And like a more practical example, I was literally sitting on the sofa and I was just chilling, and then all of a sudden I just felt this awful weight on my chest, and I just thought it was anxiety, and then I realized it was not anxiety. Once I started painting and I started using like green, I realized it was not anxiety. I started looking into the color green, what does it mean, and it was actually it started off from a feeling of jealousy. And then it went off to choosing a color that would soothe me and would remind me of nature, which is absolutely relaxing to me, nature. And so there was this transformation of the color green. And I think, I talk about colors because that is what I know, but I think
Right.
you can use it in everything, in every sort of art that you do. Art is a reflection of your own person and the people that you have met and your surroundings. So it does take a weight off you. It's a way to actually speak up. As I said, not everyone can have therapy, not everyone can have a friend to talk to, but you can find a pen somewhere, or you can find some color, and I think art should be accessible to everyone. I really don't like when people are like, oh yeah, like super snobby about it. It's like, don't be snobby about it. Like art heals, art should be accessible to everyone. If you don't like that, well, that's your own problem.
Right.
Just, I don't care.
Yeah. Tough luck.
Yeah.
Awesome. So I'm gonna kind of shift gears into documentary filmmaking. And I
Mhm.
just saw before we started this interview, that you and I'm sorry, I don't know your coworker's name, but
Ram.
sorry,
Ram. It's
Rayam.
fine.
Okay, I don't want to butcher it. But so you guys co-founded something called Orbis Intersect,
Yes.
and then you also just released a documentary about for trans awareness. So,
Yes.
can you tell us a little bit about what Orbis Intersect is and kind of what inspired the documentary and what kind of went into the process of making it?
Yeah, so basically, so the platform, let's say, is mainly because I really like working in TV, okay, and I love doing documentaries. However, there are also other projects that I like to explore and other topics that are not for broadcast TV.
Mm,
I don't have the power to put them on
right.
broadcast TV, basically.
Yeah.
So I said to myself, well, you know what? I'm actually gonna do it with a friend. We know how to do it. So why not? So the aim is to just inform people about anything. So what we want to do is we want to have um, an open call once a month. We're thinking, as for now, where we have one topic, let's call it topic, and we just ask for anyone who wants to talk about their experience about that. And then what we're going to do is we're going to have interviews with each with the people who respond to the open call. And then on top of this, so these interviews, as for now, they have to be on Zoom, obviously.
Right.
And then what we want to do is we want to have an interview. Then we want to sort of write down a little bit about it as well. If it's an artist, we put the artwork, we promote the artist as well. And then what we want to do is we want to sort of film a short documentary about whoever we feel we can do it about, because it's not always about the most interesting person or whatever.
Right.
It's more about what is achievable, really.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, now we have done this one up for Trans Awareness Week. One we are planning to do is we want to go to a refugee camp in Italy, because I have access to that one, and we want to do one about immigration.
Mm,
That is really close to my heart, because in Italy there is a lot of discussion about this. There is so many people dying at sea. It breaks my heart every time I look at that. I'm
right.
like, I don't have the means to take it on TV. What can I do about it? So the whole thing about Orbis Intersect is about intersectionality, because I think people don't really talk about intersectionality. There's always this, it's this or it's this.
Right.
And it's like, okay, but what about when this thing come together?
Mm-hmm.
That exists.
Yeah.
And it's always like, it's men or women. It's black or white. And it's like, no, there is so much
Right.
there.
There's so much in between.
Yes, that deserves to have a voice and deserves to be talked about.
Right.
So yeah, we said, why don't we talk about what's in between? And there it goes. So we started that one off. For the documentary that we did now, so basically, there is this charity that is called Not a Face, and we were going to do a documentary about her. Her name is Jackie, and we were going to do a documentary about her. However, just the timing, there was not enough time. So what she said to us was, why don't we all of us come up together and we do sort of interviews for Trans Awareness Week? And we said, of course. So what I love doing is producing, organizing, those sort of things. And yeah, we just came together and we decided to do all of that, really, which was awesome, because the thing is this, there is, I have learned so much from each individual.
Right.
And it was impressive, because and that is what I really want to do as well. Just bring information, bring awareness, and tell people, hey, this is happening. Like,
Hmm.
because a lot of the problems that comes with stigma is it is ignorance. You have no idea what that thing is. You have no idea how it feels like. So the average reaction is, I am going to stay away from it, and I am going to point my finger at it and say that is wrong. Whereas if we try to bring as much as information as we can, and we all come together, then we can actually start changing.
Hmm.
And so that is the aim. That was the aim of the documentary that we did now, and that is the aim of Orbis Intersect. Bring as much as information to everyone, awareness about everything. And the thing is, people say that you need to find a niche and all of that. Now, makes sense. I do understand that. However, what we actually want to do is not just about one niche.
Hmm.
The name says it's about the intersection of every possible topic that there is. So yeah, hopefully, it's still like super early stages. So I am building the websites now, and the aim is to actually do it in Italian and English,
Mm.
because I really feel Italy needs this as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's awesome. Yeah, no, I'll put the links down below.
Thank
Definitely
you.
check that out. That's great. Um, so my next question for you is for both filmmaking and for both filmmaking and art, filmmaking and documentary, this thing. How do you personally get into the creative zone? Like, what are the steps you take before creating these pieces? And then how has the pandemic and experiencing quarantine kind of impacted that creative process?
Um, so uh, I have my uncle that he told me off about this, because I really separate them.
Hmm.
I really separate the painting from the documentary filmmaking, and that is because I think the way that they are gonna come together, it is with this new platform.
Right.
However, as for now, before trying to build this platform, it was more about, there is a painting and there is a documentary filmmaking. The documentary filmmaking comes from wanting to just bring information to people, and I just feel my brain is constantly going, is constantly thinking about the next thing. What should we do? What people need to know? What do I think people need to know? Because at the end of the day, it is kind of about what I'd like people to know.
Right.
So it sometimes I really feel, and I need to work on that there is not really separation between just chilling. Really,
Yeah.
I feel I'm always in the zone.
Right.
I feel I'm always like sort of creating something, no matter where I am. Even when I'm on holiday, I'm there, notes on my phone, writing that poetry.
Hmm.
It just
It's
happens.
always on.
I can't stop. I can't stop. um and the reason, I guess, why I can't stop is because I'm always feeling. I feel everything. Sometimes I feel it very much. And am I going, sometimes it is painful. Other times, I feel I can just be president of the whole world. It's
Yeah.
like, it is always about this. It's always about feeling everything very, very intensely. So if I can't stop that, then I will do something about that,
Mm.
and I will create about it. So let's say I have a very big, I'm gonna use the I guess the most simple emotions, but simple in terms of talking,
Right.
because they're not simple. They're
Right.
not. Okay. It's more like, let's say I feel this wave of sadness. The creativity, it's there, and it says to me, it's now I'm used to it. So my brain says, get up, paint. Or if I can't paint, take your phone, write on your notes, write what you want to paint about, write that poetry, those lyrics, write exactly how you're feeling, write exactly what comes into your head. Or as these emotions, I really feel them as colors. It comes pretty easy to do that, to just like write it down very, very, very quickly. It is automatic now, and luckily I have enough space in my house, my flat, to not have to go out and paint somewhere else. I do everything in here. So if it's 2 a.m. and I need to do that, it's 2 a.m. and I need to do it, and I will do it. Whereas the documentary filmmaking instead it's very organized. That has to be very, very, very organized. There is the story, there is the person that I need to look for. Who am I gonna talk to? What are the questions that I'm gonna ask them? So that is not raw. And again, these two complete opposites that coexist and that just live inside of me, this very, very organized sort of place and this raw, chaotic art. They're there. I don't know if I answered your question really.
Yeah,
It
no,
was
I
about
think.
the lockdown as well. Didn't you ask me
Yeah,
that?
yeah, that was the second part. Yeah. No, it's okay. No, you answered the first one great.
Sorry, I just got lost. Yeah. Sorry, I just because like I had another interview once and I had to record it myself, and my partner had to have like the questions in front of me like that
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
because, because I was just like.
No, I completely get that. I'll answer a question, and then my brain will go, and I'll just keep talking, and I'm like, I don't even know what I'm saying. I hope it's relevant. And then I forget what they were talking about, and they're like, that didn't answer anything. And they're like, was that English? I'm like, I don't know. I wasn't here. I wasn't conscious.
I know that's the thing because and that going back to what you were about the question about the documentary, if we were just to talk about that, you would probably find another sort of Alessia here,
Mm.
because I'm more towards the producer side. So I would be actually telling you, okay, this is what we're gonna do. This is how we're gonna do it. These are the people that we're gonna talk to. Let's go now. And
Right.
it's like, whereas with the art, it's more like.
Yeah, it's just whatever happens, happens. Let it all out on the canvas.
Exactly, but I need these two Alessias to
Mm.
exist.
Yeah, that's a good
Uh,
balance.
yeah, they need to be there. When it comes to lockdown, instead, I was editing, obviously with a very big team. It's not just me.
Right.
Okay, we were editing a documentary series, and we did that all from home. And at the beginning, it was like first of all because it was the first time that I went in the edits.
Hmm.
So in the I did the edits before, but it was more like sort of research. Whereas this one that I was working on, there were a lot of legal things to look for, and not many, I am grateful that not many people maybe realize it, but I'm not from the UK. I
Hmm.
don't really know the law in the UK, and this was about like renting and people like doing scams as well, things like that. So I had to like sort of really step up very quickly and do all that research, and it was fun, but I really missed being with a team. I really missed going out filming because I spent the whole winter filming, and
Hmm.
then luckily we had all that material to edit. And yeah, there was that element of just like when filming and the banter and just being out, and I would wake up at 4 a.m. sometimes when we used to go filming, and God knows when we finished, but I love that because active and running and going, and then all of a sudden it was like none of that.
Hmm.
And we don't know when that is going to happen again. So it was a little bit difficult, but thanks to like we kept on calling each other, and we managed, and that was very impressive as well, to be honest. And it was good, like we would also like do Zoom sometimes, so we managed with that. Now with my art instead, um, it, there was a moment where I went up like a like literally it was a roller coaster. I was like, I need to do everything.
Right.
I was like, I need to write a script. I need to write a novel. I need to collect all the poetry that I've been writing since I'm 10. I need to do, I need to paint everything. Oh my God. And he was madness. He was like, just not okay.
Yeah.
Nothing come out from that, obviously. Nothing. I did I did a collection. There was like about psychedelic images and things like that. And I guess yes, and I really liked that. However, it had not. I didn't really have much to do with the lockdown. It was more about images um, that I just sort of I really wanted to see, or memories, or things like that. But I just my body, my mind were asking for so much
Mm-hmm.
constantly at the beginning that it was just absolutely not okay. And yeah, there was just this urgency, this sense of you have to do it now because now is your time, and lockdown is gonna be over pretty soon. So this is the chance to do whatever you ever wanted to do. That is wrong, because yes, we have more time. At the same time, the I did not consider the emotional weight. I don't know if that's correct to say, the sort of emotional,
Yeah.
yeah, the request that from an emotional point of view that all of this was really taken away from us,
Mm-hmm.
just living in such a, this is really, really a historical moment. And I don't, I was on, when was it, December, that I was with my partner and we were in Antigua on holiday, and I was complaining about the fact that our generation did not live an important historical moment. How dare we? Blah 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 blah.
Come on. So it's your fault. It's your fault the pandemic happened.
Yeah, oh my God. I was like, when it happened, I was like, why did I? I mean, shut up! Look,
Someone
yeah,
up there heard you and they were like, "Oh, you want a historical moment? I'll give you that."
yeah, exactly. And I was like, chill, no.
That's not what we
Uh,
meant.
it's bad. And then yeah, and there was this element of like it was just very hard to um yeah, because at the end it was only free paintings that I did.
Mm-hmm.
And it does take me a lot for me to paint, because the painting is the last part of the process.
Right.
Really, for me, painting is literally the last part of everything that I do before painting. And that's the thing, I could not get into that. I was just feeling so much that nothing was really coming out. And then yes, I don't know, there was this, I didn't feel lonely really. There was more this feeling of collective trauma,
Mm-hmm.
which is very different from the trauma that I have experienced before. Because the trauma that I have experienced before, besides the fact, I mean, when I was a child, there was a bomb and I survived that, but I really don't remember that, to be
Right.
honest. So excluding that,
Mm-hmm.
talking about collective trauma, it just felt as we were all in this together. I hate that. I don't know if that sentence.
We're all in this together, guys.
Oh
Ah!
my God!
Ah!
Like,
Love that cliche.
I was like, if someone else says to me, we're living unprecedented times, I'm
Oh,
going to lose it.
I
Stop
know.
telling me that.
I know. It's like, we get it, okay? We're all in this together. We're all suffering. We get it, okay?
I was like, just chill. Oh yeah, and I actually worked on a documentary for Channel 4 here in the UK about the virus, and that was very interesting. But then when it came to actually like think about the collective trauma, and I started thinking about, okay, so this is something that everyone is experiencing at the same time. I feel less lonely.
Mm-hmm.
So when it came to think about that, for in some ways, I felt reassured Whereas then, if I think about the personal trauma, I don't, because there's just me and that trauma, and a lot that I can do about it. Okay, I'm not saying that there's nothing that you can do about it, but there are those moments where you're like, okay, I feel very lonely about this,
Mm-hmm.
and who can I actually talk about this? Whereas now it was like I can call anyone and say, "Oh my God, I want to go out," and this other person is going to
Right.
say to me, "Yes, I want to go out," or "I'm scared someone in my family got ill." Someone
Mm-hmm.
else says to me, "Oh yes, I know about that too." Um, so I just felt very blocked. And then I started working on a collection, which I'm actually very proud of, that is about belonging. And yeah, that came from a lot of thinking. It came when I stopped. It came when I really stopped all this nonsense of I have to do everything
Mm-hmm.
all together in one day. When I actually said, okay, what do I want to talk about? Not what other people want to see me talking about. Because in my head it was like, I need to do a lockdown collection right now, right here, because everyone wants to see that for sure.
Right.
Okay, like, no, because all the open calls are about lockdown. Everyone is talking about lockdown, so I have to jump on that train.
Right.
I didn't feel ready for that.
Mm-hmm.
That is the truth. I did not feel ready for that. What I actually felt ready for was to talk about belonging as a human experience. And if it's not a trending thing, I don't care.
Mm-hmm.
It is trending in my life, okay?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, and then lockdown 2 came. And that actually, as I had all that time to reflect, I actually started doing a collection, which is not, it is more as a personal um, diary that it's really I'm open to everyone really on Instagram who want to see that. It's like every day I do a painting on paper about um, about how I felt and about these emotions that might have come during the day, or something that stayed with me during the day, or a reflection, or anything like that. However, this time I tried not to use poetry with it and just color.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, that was that, and that wasn't because lockdown is trending. It was more because I had the time to think, to reflect, pause. What do I want? What don't I want? This lockdown 2 is going to affect me more than the first one because I mean, it was mostly because I knew I was going to miss my family in Italy a lot. Um, and this just again, what is going to happen? I don't know what is going to happen with my job as well, because I'm working on a documentary, and like all the filming, I was supposed to go to many different places and film. That didn't happen. So I really felt affected by that. And by the fact that I also worked on another documentary, which I can't really say like for who or whatever, but and there was a lot of talking about COVID, and I started. That was the moment where I said, okay, I think this is actually going to be important for me, not for the others,
Mm-hmm.
and I am going to track my mood with paintings, and yeah, I felt very low a few days ago, and I did some like very random stuff that I don't like visually. However, I know they're important in the long run when I'm gonna go back and watch them, and I'm gonna like, okay, I remember exactly these 2 days.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
Yeah, it's like a little. Well, like you said, you mentioned it before. It's like a little journal, every day for you. Just not with words,
yes,
with colors. That's great. Um, going a little back, yeah. You mentioned like at the beginning of the first lockdown, you were like, I have to do all this stuff, and that novel that you mentioned should be coming out soon. Um, but I feel like a lot of people felt that way because I know I did. I remember when it was lockdown, I saw a lot of posts on social media going, "What are you gonna do about it? Like this is your time to go." And I was like, "Shit, you're right." I was like, I gotta go. I'm gonna become an actor. I'm gonna be an interviewer. I'm gonna get like washboard abs by like next week. I'm gonna run like the longest marathon I've ever run in my life. Like I had all these plans, and then it stresses you out way more because then you have all these unrealistic goals and you're like, why
yes,
am I not attaining them? Well, because one, it's probably physically impossible, and two, like just take a break, man. Like we're still in, we're like 8.5 months in, like we're still in a global pandemic. like no one's experienced this before that's here right now. It's like really traumatizing for everyone just because, you well, I mean, now is a little different because we know more about the virus and things are shut down, we're safe. But like in the early stages, we didn't know anything. And it was really traumatic and everything was basically just taken away. So adding that pressure of what are you going to do about it? That's not fair. Like it's so like even now if you're watching this and you're like stressed out because you've done, well, I'm not going to say nothing, but you haven't like built a new empire within the pandemic, like it's okay, man. Like just take some time for yourself, for your
Exactly.
family. Like this is some time to just chill a little.
No, it is true, and that is the thing, like, because then, for example, what I would say back is like, oh well, but what about all these people who are actually doing it? Because that is obviously, I always think about what my mom says back,
Hmm.
and what I say back to that conversation with myself, always
Right.
is is like they are them, like
Right.
that doesn't mean that everyone has to do that.
No,
It's
exactly.
like, my god, I know my brain goes like super fast all the time, constantly, and I know I have to do something about it, and I have to like sort of create something about it, but not everyone has to do it. And just because you see me or someone else online doing that, it doesn't mean that you have to do it too. It's
Hmm.
like, if you feel like calling your mom and tell and whatever, and talking to your mom, just go for that, because maybe that is something you don't see me doing that. Maybe my relationship with my family is not as good. You know what I mean? Maybe
Right.
this could have been a time for me to talk to my family. Did I do that? You know what I mean? Where it's like,
Hmm.
maybe someone else can do that. Or look after yourself as well, because that is the thing. At the beginning, it was like I did not look after myself. I didn't really have lunch, and even now when it started again, I'm still struggling with that. So
Hmm.
you see me online doing all these things, but then there is also the part of like, oh my god, I need to have lunch, or um, I need to read a little bit. Not everything has to go online all the time,
No. Yeah.
and there might be people like me or you, that you interview people, so we have to do it online,
Hmm.
but there is other millions of people who don't do it online, and that
Right.
doesn't mean it's wrong. It's obviously, you open something online, you're going to find out someone doing something online because you're there.
Right.
But but if you go to a library, I don't know, you're gonna find people reading books because
Hmm.
you went to a library. I don't know if you're understanding what I'm trying
No,
to say.
yeah, so like not everyone's online doing online stuff is basically what you're
Yeah,
saying. Like there's a bunch of different worlds out there that you can, if you're interested in one thing, go out and do that. You don't have to post about it. That doesn't make
exactly.
you a bigger failure than the people online. That's not what that means. It just means you're
Yeah.
going out
And
and
if you
doing
want
what
to
you
take a
like.
nap, I mean, take a nap.
Man, take a nap, bro.
I
Take
took one before the interview.
Yeah, take a nap. They're underrated, and two, what better time to take a nap than in a pandemic?
Yes, that's the thing. It is a time to rest.
Hmm.
If I could back now to that moment, I would I would rest, because nothing came out
Right.
from that.
Yeah. No.
Just
Yeah.
stress.
That's a great point because even like you mentioned, online you have all this stuff going on, but like behind the scenes, which is another great thing about social media, you don't see the behind the scenes. So people are only comparing you to like your successes, how great you look in that moment, but they don't see the behind the scenes. So they're comparing you to your highlights, which isn't realistic. And that kind of happened to me because I was posting stuff, I was interviewing people, I was doing like mental health advocate work, and people were like, "Wow, you've really got your stuff together." I'm like, "Actually, man, I'm struggling right now because I have two jobs, I have this, I'm still in school." So I kind of threw like I would preach like take care of yourself, do yoga, like mindfulness techniques, do all this stuff. But I realized that I kind of personally had thrown that out because I was like, I gotta work, get that money. I'm gonna do all this work so I can reach the top quick before all my competitors. But like, chill,
I
relax.
know.
Like it's
I
okay.
know.
Like first of all, like you and your mental matter the most. So if you have to take time to do anything, it's that. Take time for your family. Like this is, I, like, because I feel the same way. Like I feel pressure sometimes when I see people online doing really well, but like, it's okay, man. Like you, I don't even know how else to put it. Like you don't have to. This unrealistic pressure that you're giving yourself because we're in a pandemic. You have so much free time. Just take some time for yourself, and don't worry about
Right.
people that are doing what they find passionate, what they're passionate about. Like
No,
good for
you're
them.
right.
Yeah, good for them. Like if you're passionate and you're successful, by all means, go ahead. But you don't have to be like that.
Exactly. And what you were saying about how you started talking about the yoga and the meditation and doing all of that self-care, and then you didn't do it yourself for a little bit. I think that more often than not, I mean, sometimes we tell these things not just to others but also to ourselves, and
Hmm.
the more we say it to other people, the more we remind it to ourselves,
Right.
I mean, to me as well, like when I write about something, or if I do a painting about a certain topic, then more often it's something that I would do, or something that I would like to do, something that I would like to achieve. And yeah, that was it really.
Yeah. No. That's exactly right. Like sometimes when I'll make a post or I'll be talking in an interview. I'll be talking to the viewers and the people reading it, but I'll also be directing it to myself, and then I read it back later. Like take time for yourself, like you're important, like you matter, all these things. I am saying it to people, but it's also a way to tell myself those things as well, because I'm sure you get this too, I often forget. I get caught up in
Yeah.
it. Yeah. um so you mentioned in an interview with Burnt Orange City that you also intend to address gender stereotypes that surround emotion in both boys and girls. So for the viewers, can you dive in a little about the stereotypes of emotion that you've personally witnessed or experienced for both boys and girls in society today?
um yeah, when it comes to like, I'm not a man, so I can only talk from what I have seen
Hmm.
and the people around me, and also because I did a project a few years ago where I asked men what does it mean to be a man. So I lost that footage, by the way, so but let's not talk about that.
Oh man,
And
it's a sensitive topic.
yeah, that was like really upsetting. Anyway, and from what I have gathered, from what I've been reading as well, and from what I've seen, is that it seems that men are not allowed to show emotions.
Hmm.
They are not allowed to sort of even be themselves, or just show that they are humans. They're not invincible. They um their purpose is not to protect.
Hmm.
That's the thing that I have seen a lot. As if like you have to be a man, you have to be strong. What does it mean? What does it mean? What does
Right.
it mean being a man? What does it mean being strong? Like, what are you trying to tell me?
Hmm.
Actually, tell me exactly what you mean by that. And then when you ask this question, it's like, well, like physically strong, and then, you can't show your emotions. Don't cry. That is weak, and you can't show your vulnerabilities. And it's like, no, actually, I really don't agree with that.
Hmm.
Like, cry, cry, man.
Right.
Like,
Yeah, you're
if
allowed
you
to.
if you feel it,
Hmm.
why do you have to repress it? God, repression does so much damage to people in general.
Right.
Like the damage that repression does is it is overwhelming. So
Hmm.
uh, when I read these things, it really bothers me, and it makes me sad as well, because how comes are you not allowed to? Why is society telling you that you can't?
Right.
Like,
Yeah,
this,
it's frowned upon to cry.
yes.
Hmm.
And there is this thing, I think, from the relationships maybe that I have been in, the relationships with a man is like, and then maybe if I get to meet their fathers, is like I can really see it from how it goes from dad to son.
Right.
This thing of like seriousness,
Hmm.
like uh, don't you can't show who you are really. You have to always present yourself in a certain way. You have to like be the kind of guy who makes jokes about haha that's so gay, like what.
Mm, yeah.
Like,
Oh yeah, growing up that was a big one. You're so gay. I was called gay a lot in elementary school because um this is a side note, but because I was more emotional than the other guys. I'd cry a lot. Um, I was a big crybaby, but they would be like, "Stop crying. Are you gay?" I'd be like, "I don't know, maybe." I'm not, but I could be. Like I remember moving schools in second grade, and I got to this new school, and I was really anxious to meet people because I didn't know anyone. It was a different town, and so at recess, like everyone had their groups already because they had grown up together. So I kind of just went into the corner and just sat there and like just took time for myself to collect my thoughts because I was nervous. I was like panicking. Some dude noticed, like came over. He's like, "Look at this gaylord like freaking out over here," because I was like crying, and that was my name for like a couple years at elementary school.
oh my god.
Yeah, that's just how I was known. So yeah, I don't know. I feel like the narrative's changing a little, but like you said, it's from like older generations, and that's just a product of their environment. That's just what they were taught, and it's really nice to see that that's changing because man, that sucked. Like every time I'd cry, I was either insane or a girl or gay. Like first of all, there's nothing wrong with the last two, but I'm just saying like
I
why
know what you mean,
yeah, why
yes.
why is it so frowned upon to cry? It hurts to not. Like I get huge migraines if I hold my cry in, and it has such
Yes,
long-term effects. So, yeah.
I do hope it changes because like from the people shading people. No,
Yeah, throwing a ton of shade out there.
but let's say from some people that I know, or maybe don't know, but heard from other
Mm.
people, it's like correct me if the term is wrong. Locker room.
Oh,
Um,
locker room talk.
yes,
Yeah,
very like there is a lot of it,
right.
and I was surprised because from when I go online, I do see like a lot of diversity and people like sort of try not to do that, but then in real life I have seen that
Mm,
a lot, and I
right.
was pretty surprised as well. Or even like I don't know, people that I was at uni with, that you're supposed to be like a sort of art, like um person, whatever, and instead they would like um yeah, awful conversation, just
Right.
putting constantly putting each other down, and then oh yeah, they just live with this person, blah blah blah, and it's like chill, like uh,
Mm,
you
yeah.
know don't really be like that. And yes, there, and also like this stereotype that I really hate is like, oh, if you're a man and you sleep with like a lot of women, then like, ooh, you're a
You're cool.
player,
Yeah,
ah,
yeah.
nice.
Yeah,
And then
you're a
you're a woman,
king.
you do that.
You're a king.
Yeah.
They're like, "Yeah, you go, man."
It's like okay, whatever. But then it's like, oh, if you're a woman and you do that, it's like, oh my god, she's a slut, and
Yeah,
it's
big
like,
time. Yeah. That's a big double standard.
why can't I do whatever I want? Why can't everyone just like
No, you're not allowed. Okay? That's a guy thing. Only guys are allowed to sleep with people. Didn't you know that?
It's like so frustrated. Honestly, at university was so frustrated,
Mhm.
and like because now I am in a relationship,
Yeah.
so like cool. But before it was like just a university, just like constant people talking, and I'm not saying like about me, but also like about a lot of people that I know of,
Right.
and
You
it was
got
just
labeled.
like that's not cool.
Yeah.
That's not okay. And
Mhm.
even like in Italy, I remember this group of people where the guys were allowed to, but the girls were not. And it's like,
Well, here's the thing that okay, if a guy sleeps with a lot of girls, he's a king. but girls aren't allowed to do that because they're sluts. Who are the guys sleeping with? If girls aren't allowed to sleep with guys, but they're allowed to sleep with girls, that doesn't make any sense. The math just isn't there.
Yeah, and also the term like slut, what does it even mean?
Yeah, no,
Like
people are so quick to judge.
it's like
Do what you want. Like, first of all,
yes,
a lot of the people like name calling and judging have no affiliation to that person. How is it affecting you if that person goes and sleeps with people?
exactly. Like just the thing is, as long as you respect each other,
Hmm.
end off. And
Yeah,
then the other thing about the stereotype, inside when it comes to women, is this whole thing about the emotions, and like, you're feeling too much.
mm,
So you are too this and
you're
too that.
psycho. You're a
Yeah, and it's
crazy
like,
bitch. Like all these
yeah,
terms.
and it's
Yeah.
like, hey, don't. First of all, because there might be actually like people who actually suffer from
Mm,
something. Okay, so
yeah.
chill with that.
Hmm.
Like, don't start name calling or anything like that.
Right.
First, and the other thing is like, why are we not allowed to feel?
Yeah.
Why?
We
That is the thing from both sides.
yeah.
Why not?
Like I had that a lot growing up because everyone above me like never showed anything. So I never had a role model for that. So I would feel something and I don't know where it came from. I would just like let's say I felt anxious, felt angry, and people would just be like, "Stop feeling that." Be like, "Oh shit, okay, I don't feel it anymore." Like that's not how that works. Like you should be able to let it out because if you hold it back and say you're not allowed to feel that way, it's going to come back and bite you eventually.
Yes,
It like
yes,
suppression
exactly.
has like really long-term effects if you like keep going at it. You got to let it out. And so this judgmental thing, like this people who are so quick to judge, they're hurting people who feel that way a lot more than they think they are.
Yeah, it is it is like that. And then I was talking with a friend about like stoicism and philosophy, and I think like a lot of people confuse this a lot, to say like, oh, but I'm stoic, whatever, and it's like, no, you're a dick.
Hmm.
Like, don't it's got nothing to do with that, because stoicism, it is a way to actually deal with life, and you can learn a lot from it. But obviously you can't read it, you can't follow everything by the book, because we're talking about Roman emperors, and like
Hmm.
that was quite a while back. It
Yeah,
was,
that I think we've changed a little.
yeah, like it's military people, like it is a little bit different.
Yeah.
So you and I'm only saying it because for some reason it keeps coming out on my feed about people defending themselves by this whole thing about emotions, saying you can't feel it
Hmm.
and blah blah blah. So I just wanted to make a point there. But how can I say it? To me, the bottom line is that people, who cares, doesn't matter about the gender, where they come from or anything. They just should be allowed to feel whatever they want to feel
Hmm.
and do whatever they want to do, as long as they respect one another. Because obviously when there's no respect, you start questioning. But as long as you're respecting the other person and the other person respects you, I don't really see what's the problem, to be honest. And as you were saying about this, how it comes down to the older generations as well, that maybe as a father you are in a certain way with your son and you're very cold. Well, your son probably is going to learn that as well, and
Hmm.
he's going to be very cold too, and you don't want that.
Right.
And like, I am so 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 proud of my partner, because he shows his emotions, and we talked about them. And especially he does tell me that, and since we're together, he he can actually, he feels allowed to feel these
Mm.
things.
Hmm.
And what bothers me is the fact that he should not feel allowed to, in the
Right.
sense of he should be free to do it all the time.
Yeah.
He doesn't need to look for one place where he is allowed to.
Right.
And it's the same thing with me, is like, or with me, but also like women in general, is like, oh, someone has hurt you, but then if you say, "Hey, dude, like you've heard me," my God, how dare you? Like you're
Yeah.
overreacting, and it's like,
Mm-hmm.
just listen to me.
Yeah.
Like, why can't you?
I
You
had a
know?
couple friends like that growing up where I would open up about how something made me feel, and they're like, "Well, hey, first of all, stop talking. How do you think what you're saying makes me feel?" So they would flip it. So they'd be like, "I hear you, but that's affecting me, so don't say it." I'm like, "That's not
Yeah, I know what you
okay."
mean.
So
Been
that
there.
yeah, it's all about changing the words that you say to people. Stop judging. Um, and like, yeah, on social media we see a lot of advocacy for that. Like people going, if you're a man, it's okay to cry. If you're a woman, like you're not a slut, you're not a crazy bitch if you let out how you're feeling. But in the real world outside of social media, that's still a thing going on. Like
Yeah.
I just came out of university, and if a swimmer had like, because I was a swimmer, if someone on a different team had like a panic attack or like had a bad race and freaked out about it, it's me. I'm one of those people. But the other swimmers would look at them different. They'd be like, "Oh, they're not much of a competitor now because they have a weak mentality. They're not a man. They're not going to race well ever because they're weak." That's still a thing going on. So yeah, it's changing for the better, but we've got a lot of work to do, man. We get
Yeah.
like so hopefully when like our generation becomes parents, like we can change the narrative a little for the younger generations, but we'll see.
No, yeah, I mean, I agree, and I really hope it changes because it just ruins people.
Mm.
Really, that's the bottom line. Is that one it just ruins you, and it does take a lot to actually get out from that zone.
Oh yeah.
So,
Yeah,
yeah,
you're like you start getting programmed to feel like you shouldn't. Like I remember opening up the first couple times, like even telling my parents that I had depression. That was so tough because I was like, I taught myself and I'd been told by others to just hide it, as opposed to let it out and let people know. So it felt unnatural, and that's why a lot of people keep it in because they don't feel comfortable letting it out, but they should.
I know because I mean I was at school and basically I had an eating disorder growing up, and I was like in the classroom, and then I would have sometimes like the a therapist of the school or whatever it was, like she would just knock and you could like just go out basically, just to call for the session or whatever, something like that, which if you're a teenager, don't do that. Just come up in the class and just say, "Oh yeah, you come," it's like whatever. And
Yeah, don't do that. Yeah.
every time you have no idea, it was like, "Oh yeah, look, she's crazy," or
Mm,
like they would call me, just they knew I had an eating disorder despite that. And I was like, I would lose a lot of weight and then like gain a lot of weight.
mm.
And then I mean, I never really gained a lot of weight.
But like in your head, it looked like you were getting fat, right? Yeah,
And exactly, and
right.
then what they would say, they knew that, and they would say to me, "Oh yeah, you look like a cow,"
Oh man, kids
or
are
like,
nasty.
and I was literally, I remember, like I saw some pictures, and I was like so skinny at
Yeah.
the time, and I
Mm-hmm.
literally didn't eat, and I was like bunch of like
You fucking assholes. Yeah.
yeah, like
Right.
oh, you're organizing a dinner, I'm not coming, like what the hell, like I see them sometimes, let's go out all together.
Yeah. No.
Like, you guys,
The
no.
cow will not be here.
Exactly. No, no, sorry, I eat too much.
Yeah.
Don't know if there's gonna be enough food for
I'm
me.
too fat. I
Oh.
can't get out of bed. Sorry.
Yeah, it's like, yeah.
Yeah. Something's got to give. So my last big question before we get into the rapid fire, and I know last time you had a little trouble here, so hopefully you've kind of uh, thought
I
about it
don't
a
have a
little.
good memory.
You what?
I don't have a good memory,
Oh,
so
perfect. So this is going to go really well. So before we go into the rapid fire, my last big question for you, in a time like now where there seems to be a lot of negativity and uncertainty out there because of the pandemic, because of, the racial divide that we're seeing, because like just everything. There's so much I can't even put it all together. But how does one keep hope in a time like now when it seems almost impossible to have it?
You keep hope, first of all, by looking after yourself.
Hmm.
I think that's super, super, super important. And by looking after yourself is by thinking about this exact moment, not about yesterday, not about tomorrow, about right now. What is going on for you right now? How are you feeling right now? What can you do to make yourself feel better in this exact moment? And, I personally, I my sort of like I don't know how to say it. There was a lot of the things that I read or writers that I like or anything like that. There is a lot about pessimism or sort of the thing that we are gonna die anyway, so
Right.
deal with that.
Hmm.
Now, um, there is still a part of me that really thinks that there is a part of me that has to deal with that. However, and is a part of me that I will not repress. It's there. She exists.
Hmm.
She has all the rights to be there. Now, I also have learned to see it from the other point of view, which is the point of view of the fact that yes, we are going to die, but we have to live first,
Right.
and we have to be here in the first, like right now. So something that helps me, it is, and it doesn't always work, but sometimes it does, is about thinking that there is a higher power, that there is something greater than yourself, and that you can actually see it. I mean, I can see it in nature. I can see it when seasons are changing. I can also see how hurt this higher power is by everything that we're putting up there. Like how seasons are changing literally,
Hmm.
and like how nature is suffering. There is this sort of hopelessness as well when I think about my higher power, unfortunately, because I do see everything that we are doing to this planet.
Right.
So, you know, that really hurts me. However, I always try to also think mm, that nature will survive.
Hmm.
Okay. And I really have that hope, and I constantly think about that. And then I just look up and I start thinking about how grateful I am just to even just be alive, even if it's just for a few seconds, even if we don't know when we're gonna die. It is going to happen. We just don't know when. So why would I put myself through all of that pain to think about me dying and everyone around me dying?
Right.
I try really to think about the fact that they are here right now. And what can I do? I can call them, or I can have a bath, or I can do something good for myself. I can nurture myself. I can have something nice to eat. And then it's about, I really say the serenity prayer a lot. And I mean, I don't know if like people know the serenity prayer. You can look that up. But there is this thing, and I have it next to my bed. And there is this thing about like courage to change the things I can, and wisdom to know the difference. And
Hmm.
that is very important because it takes a lot of courage and it takes a lot of wisdom to do that.
Right.
And sorry, because I think it's like such a big question.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like because what works for me maybe doesn't work for someone
Of
else.
course.
And oh yeah, therapy.
Mm.
Therapy works if you work it. You gotta work it. You gotta have you can't just go to a therapist and expect that the therapist is gonna do all the work for you. It doesn't happen.
Right.
It's not like that. You have to put the work yourself. So if you are feeling hopeless, just go to a therapist and talk to a therapist. There's nothing wrong with that. Absolutely nothing wrong. Let's like stop thinking that there is, because there's not. Yeah, they actually help you.
Hmm.
To to actually have some hope, really. And I think like a lot of the things that have helped me is also read. I try to sort of lose myself a little bit, like reading between the pages, creating art as well, and think that I always take it back to that. I always take it back to the higher power. There is something bigger than myself, and I gave myself completely to that. That doesn't mean that I am weak and I can't survive on my own. It just means that we all need a little bit of a help, and it's there. You just have to look it up, really. So,
Awesome.
yeah.
Yeah. And with that, all my questions are done. So now we get into the most important part of the episode. So, are you ready?
Yes.
Yes? Perfect. So the first question is very easy. What are your top 5 singers, rappers, or musicians, just music in general? What are your top 5 dead or alive right now?
Okay. So, Lady Gaga.
Yep.
Pink Floyd.
Mm-hmm.
Halsey. Florence and the Machine, and Lana Del Rey. I changed a bit.
Great
I
top
forgot
5.
one.
You know what? That was perfect. And took maybe 20 minutes less than the last time. So you did. That was really good. Perfect. So number 2, which takes the crown for you, pizza or chicken wings?
Pizza.
Pizza.
Yes.
What is your favorite pizza place in London? Your top 3 toppings, and then does pineapple belong on pizza?
Okay, so my favorite place right now, and there's two. There's one that's called Bellucci that is like, they're Italian and they do Italian pizza, and there's another one that is called Pizza Room, and they are Italian as well. And there's a sort of small chain, and it's super nice, and it's like super close to my house as well. Favorite toppings? Okay, I like burrata, I like buffalo mozzarella, and I like prosciutto ham crudo, which is like Parma ham. That's the translation.
You got the Italian pizza going. I love it.
Yeah. And yes, pineapple does belong to pizza. So
yeah, that's what's up. I knew you were gonna say it because I heard you last time. I wanted to hear it again because a lot of guests don't think so. And you know what? If they're watching this, take that. Your top 3 shows or movies that have gotten you through quarantine up until this point.
I'm back at that again.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, it's back.
Okay. This is
Let's make it easier. Your top show or movie. Just anyone that comes to mind that you've watched through quarantine.
Okay, so well, there was Friends that, as I said already, it was like, I know there are jokes that are not very comfortable, but I know when they're gonna come. I know exactly what is gonna happen.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, everything resolves itself, which is, quite comfortable to watch. Oh my god. Oh yes, what was that movie with that they were singing the song "Double Trouble"?
I don't know. Double
They're
Trouble.
like, they're come on, please. It's that man that is it Will Ferrell? Is he that his name?
Will Ferrell? He's got curly hair.
Yes, him.
Okay.
They did a movie called it was about Eurovision. It was a comedy.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
It's called Eurovision, I think.
Okay.
That's a great movie. But yeah.
Yeah, so that was funny because the song was just in my head for a lot of time. And then I mean, animal documentaries in general, like anything that has animals in it, I think is like great to watch.
Did you watch the new David Attenborough one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I cried,
right.
Like you had no idea. I was like, oh my god.
And you know what? That is okay. You're allowed to.
Yeah, it got very intense for me too. Yeah, it really made me think. But I also made me think that I really want to do like fluid landscapes paintings, like inspired by landscapes.
Right.
Make them fluid. Yeah, I've been thinking about doing that. So
fluid
yes.
landscapes, inspired by landscapes that are fluid. And then last question, if there's a viewer going through a similar experience to the one that you went through with your mental health growing up, what would you want them to hear?
Okay. It's going to be hard, very, very hard. But you can make it easier by going to therapy, by really understanding who you want to have in your life, understand the difference between what you want and what you need, because they are two different things. And your body, you literally have one, like you have one body, you don't have any others. You know, you can believe whatever belief you have in this life, it's this the body that you have. So you gotta look after it, no matter what other people say to you. And everything you do to your body has to be your own decision. Don't let other people tell you what you have to do or what you can't do with it. And don't trust don't trust everyone. Trust a few people, but don't trust everyone. Not everyone comes with their best intentions. Just because you go to people with the best intentions doesn't mean that everyone has the best intentions for you. So remember that. The serenity prayer again always comes back, because that really, really, really helped me. And there might be a time where you're like super, super lonely, and you might think, you don't have anyone. But again, you always have really yourself, and you always, have, and even if you might be hating yourself, just write it down, do something with that. And even if you think that you don't know how to paint, even if you think you don't know how to write, if you think you don't know how to do something, just do it anyways, and try to free yourself from all the chains that society has put you in. Just do whatever you really want to do without listening to other people, because those people are not you. Those people do not live your life. You are the only one who actually does it. You're the only one who experiences it. And if you feel emotions in a way that you think that other people do not, well, that is also not true. A lot of people also feel emotion in that way. A lot of other people also have these mood swings or anxieties, and you will find a way to manage them by going to therapy and by putting all the work and knowing that you are the most important person in your life. That's it.
Wonderful. And with that, we are done. Thank you so much for coming back on, Alessia. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
And to all my viewers, I will see you guys next time. Thank you for watching another episode of the H Panel. I really appreciate you guys. For more episodes of the H Panel, click this button right here. And if you want to subscribe for more videos from myself, subscribe is right down below. Thanks, guys.